You good? I forget.
When I look at you, it means get to the mic.
Huh?
When I look at you, it means
Is that
get
what
to
that
the
means?
mic.
But I talk quiet. I just always have.
Okay, I have 6:30. Call the regular meeting Howell Township to order. Roll call.
Mike Coddington,
Here.
Sue Doss,
Here,
Jonathan Hohenstein,
Here.
Matt Counts,
Here.
Bob Wilson, Tim Bull,
Present.
Shane Fagan.
Here.
Please join me in the pledge to the flag. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call to the board. Any additions or subtractions to the agenda?
I would like to make an addition under new business for 9C for a cybersecurity assessment.
Support.
Is that a support to approve the agenda? Or support just to add that?
Support to approve the agenda.
Okay.
I think before that gets approved, I need to make note of a conflict. I'll abstain from any voting pertaining to 8C, unfinished business.
Okay. Is there support to a motion for the approve the agenda?
support.
Motion by Count, seconded by Doss. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
I will pass these out for everybody for the new item.
I don't need one. Call to the public. Seeing none. Is there a motion to enter into a closed session for confidential written legal opinion?
I think we skipped the minutes.
Oh, we did. I'm sorry. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of July 14th?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the July 14th.
I do have one correction for unfinished business C, cybersecurity, the words ad hoc, the phrase, just a misspelling. But
Okay. So, you okay with that correction? Because you made the motion, Sue?
Yes.
Okay. Is there support?
I'll support that.
Motion by Doss, second by Hohenstein. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll go to 7. Closed session, confidential written legal opinion.
I'll make the motion to enter into closed session to discuss a confidential written legal opinion from the township attorney per MCL 15.286.
Support.
Motion by Hohenstein, second by Doss. Roll call.
Doss,
Yes.
Wilson, Fagan,
No.
Coddington,
Yes?
Hohenstein,
Yes.
Counts,
Yes.
Bull.
Yes.
We'll be right back. Okay, is there a motion to enter back into regular session?
So moved.
Support?
Motion by Count, second by Hohenstein. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have nothing else. Move on to unfinished business. Fee schedule and application update, ADU.
So you remember, we talked at, I think it was the last board meeting, about approving the ADU and updating our fee schedule. So that's what I've done, is I've added the ADU application fee, and it shouldn't be in the escrow column, but we do need to also capture money for the recording of the deed document that will go with an ADU. So I did update that. I also updated the actual permit so you could see what it would look like. There is a error on there on the application. Just understand that it's the highlighted section that I am talking about. So how does the board feel about charging a $75 application fee to pay for the review of their plans plus the fee to record the deed restriction?
I think that's pretty in line with other land use permits from a construction perspective, so I'm fine with it.
I would agree. If you were gonna put an addition on, it would be the same cost, correct?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or concerns?
More in general, back to the ADU itself, when plans are submitted to the township, I suppose it gives a site plan, those kinds of things. What kind of information are we requiring for proving that it is a family member living in the ADU? How's the township prepared to prove that?
So
I should say.
that's where the deed restriction comes in, where they are acknowledging that it's for family only.
Okay. So it's just basically on there where they don't need to provide any kind of documentation. If the township some way finds out that they're not family, then the township goes back on the deed restrictions as you.
The deed restriction, and it would be a violation of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, I just, that whole family thing kills me. I think it's a loophole to keep out the diversity in this community, unfortunately. So it's a shame. I mean, Miss Weir was in here at her last meeting begging for affordable housing, and we missed the mark with that ADU. But sorry to get off topic as far as the permit fees go, but
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Any other thoughts or concerns?
I still feel the ADU ordinance is a great overreach of government.
Okay.
So I'd like to also add that actually, instead of being an overreach, it's actually allowing a use that was previously not allowed. So we are allowing an additional structure inside another structure for a family member. And the family relationship is pretty liberal, and there's a definition of it in our ordinance. You can look at it there.
Yep. Need a motion or just a consensus on this?
I would like a motion, just so
Okay.
we can get it updated.
Okay.
So I will move to accept the changes to the township fee schedule for ADUs as presented.
Support.
Motion by Hohenstein, seconded by Counts. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Two opposition.
Howell Mason versus Howell Township, legal update. And there's the Howell Township versus Shane Fagan, legal update.
Mr. Chair, I do have some comments on that.
Okay.
Because there's been a lot of false information put out about this particular lawsuit in general, and I would just like to read from the conclusion of our attorneys for the purpose of this. And it says, the appeal arises because the district court, despite correctly finding Mr. Fagan responsible, made 3 fundamental legal areas that effectively rewrote the township's zoning ordinance in violation of the separation of power principles. And I think that's a good definition of why we move forward as a board with this.
Mhm.
It is a separation of powers issue. It wouldn't matter whose name is on it. Other than that, that was my only comment.
This whole Township versus Fagan is just another Timbo versus his.
It wouldn't matter whose name is on it, Bob.
It's just, now you're spending township money, 33 grand.
Separation of
your
powers issue,
You
Bob.
can't even get along with him well enough to sit next to him. There's 3 trustees here now and 1 over there. It used to be 2 and 2.
We moved that so that Brent could be next to the cord that controls the TV, so that when he is here, like tonight, he can put things on this TV as opposed to using the little TV, which is why he used to sit over there, so he was close to the little TV.
I'm just saying,
That was the move.
this Bull
And it's
versus
not 9
everybody-
things like you keep saying it is, it's 3 things.
What?
You keep saying we're appealing 9 things, and we're not appealing 9 things. There's 3 things being appealed.
Right, I mean, it just seems like you guys.
But you have said
to
9.
win.
But yeah,
If this is a bowl versus.
you're not gonna
everybody,
acknowledge
it's a
that,
road
so
problem.
we'll move on.
It's a bowl problem.
Okay, new business. Financial report.
All right, the revenue and expenditure report for Howell Township for the year ending 6/30/2025. You guys are all pretty familiar with this format by now. We'll start with the general fund. The fund itself on the revenue side, actually exceeded our budgeted by 2%, just over 2%, which is a good thing. That first line item I wanted to point out, general fund property taxes. You guys all know that that's a line item on all of your tax bills. That is our operating millage. We collected $426,000 this fiscal year. Later on in the report, you'll see that we spent half of that on legal fees. Just pointing that out because that sort of thing just isn't sustainable in the direction we're going. So I need you all to think about that moving forward. Underneath expenditures, the first budget amendment we'll need, and I will go through these at length at the end, but it's not asking for new money, it's just reallocating election deputy wages to clerk deputy wages. But everything pretty much is in line here in the general fund. Do the annual imagery amount in here because of that comment, just so you kind of have a guideline for the Eagle View discussion after these financial reports. Moving to the top of page 3, the at-large legal expense. That's what I just kind of highlighted there. We can go through the breakdown at the end here. But I did have to reallocate within that department. I took $15,000 from the at-large drain expense to cover the final month of the legal. So $212,000, that is the most we have spent since I've been here. And it's starting to become an issue, I think, for this budget. Underneath that, we have the fall and spring cleanup that the deputy treasurer kind of spearheads. We did the mics and speakers, obviously, under the capital outlay. And the final thing in the general fund, the budget amendment number 2, and I'll explain why we need to do that there, but there's just, that department is exhausted. It's final. So as for the year, with previous budget amendments, we had budgeted a deficit of $13,000. We came in at $289,000 surplus, which obviously is a good thing. Any questions, comments, concerns on the general fund?
Just moving back real quick, we're talking about legal. fees and, how to mitigate that moving forward. I think I want to just take a moment to maybe express to the board, when an issue's been resolved, that's probably the time to quit spending money. Just a thought. Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. Fund 204, the road fund. We collected 2.27% more than we had budgeted to take in. We did the road projects at Layton and Bowen. We didn't spend as much as we had allocated, so that leads us to almost $130,000 surplus in the road fund, which will go into the road fund balance and be carried forward. We'll talk about those fund balances, where they ended up, a little bit later on. The Park and Rec Fund, the only thing different here since the last time we were together is the environmental study, study 1 and 2 were paid out of here, in a total of $43,000. So we had budgeted to have a surplus of $53,000 for the year. It actually came in at $128,000, and mainly because we stopped the fee, or for the contracted service expense, that's that HAPRA membership. Now it's on the millage for the next 3 years. And finally, Fund 592, sewer and water. We did well here on the top line. Revenue side was 22.57% over budget, meaning we projected to take in 2.174 million, and we ended up taking in 2.665 million. Now, on the bottom line, though, we had the Burkhart Bridge lawsuit settlement, and this is, as GASB requires, this has to be called out. So that's that, under that first department, 536, there, the sewer water lawsuit settlement expense, under 592, 536, 801.001. That was the settlement amount. We finished the clarifier project this year. MHOG is super pleased with us being able to tackle a lot of these projects. I mean, we've pretty much kept up with their wish list, which is a good thing. Farther down, so we took in 22.57% more, and we spent 14% less than what we had budgeted. So even paying out that lawsuit, we still far exceeded budgeted. We had, after that lawsuit affected the budget, we had a negative, or a loss of $193,114, but the actual came in as a surplus of $631,000 and change. So budgeted loss for all funds of $219,501, mainly because of that lawsuit, but we actually turned in a surplus of $1.1 million and change. Now the two budget amendments I need, the first one, we need to increase clerk deputy wages from $30,605 to $32,105. That's an increase of $1,500. So that would inversely decrease election wages from $30,605 to $29,105. Yours might say $19,105. I was hustling this into the board pack, and I caught that today. So that should say $29,105, and that's just to account for the actual workload. It's not anything in addition. It's just accounting.
Motion to approve budget amendment 1 to increase clerk deputy wages from $30,605 to $32,105 as presented.
Support, Bull.
Motion by Count, second by Bowl. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then the second budget amendment is just to increase planning contracted planner expense from $20,000 to $26,000 to account for the new retainer agreement that kind of started before this budget year ended. So,
Motion to accept budget amendment 2 to increase planning contracted planner expenses from 20,000 to 26,000 to account for retainer agreement.
Support.
Motion by motion by Counts, second by Hohenstein. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Brent, I have a question.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you as always. This is great stuff. The wastewater treatment, maybe this is for you, maybe this is for Jonathan. Wastewater treatment plant electricity expense, there's a note of like the biolac blower. Is there any way to get that expense down?
So this happens if they have issues, sometimes they have to turn an additional blower on. So normally they only run one blower and it has a VFD so it can ramp up and down. If they run into issues, they have to add oxygen. So they'll have to flip on a second blower. None of the other ones have VFD, so it's just full blast. And they'll have to run it until they get the issue under control. So unfortunately, when they do that, it just eats electricity. And
Can we add VFDs to those blowers?
we can talk to Greg about it, yeah.
Because the other issue is they have to get out actually into the biolac and change those parts on the lines. And it's not always easy to do, right? It's kind of a seasonal thing. that they
Yeah.
attack, so.
But I thought we had a boat for that and everything like that.
We do, and they
Yeah.
actually go out in their kayaks too.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have the equipment, yeah. It's-
Okay. I mean, if there's just, if maybe, and maybe, I don't know, right? Maybe a VFD for a biolac blower is like way too expensive, but if it's a reasonable price and we can maybe control some of this electricity expense, that might be beneficial.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring it up.
Thank you.
Anything else on any of the funds before I move on? All right, fiscal year-to-date legal fees. So that first section there, Oakland Tactical, that one, as far as I'm aware, that's been ended, and there's hopefully it will not resurface. So we ended up spending almost $35,000 in this fiscal year for that one. Burkhart Road was $12,000, but there's a caveat to that, actually a couple. Obviously, the settlement that we talked about of $390,000, but we also, we didn't incur, but we will end up paying back over time. We spent $120,000 of insurance legal to fight that. So, because I did just get an invoice of $5,000 for that deductible. So I would expect our premiums to go up with that. The Hall Mason litigation is right, almost $90,000 for the year. And then the other three, I think maybe the wellhead and the ADU are probably done, right?
Those are done.
Those are done.
Well, ADU might go up a little bit. I did ask the attorney to draft that document that will be recorded so that we will have a standard form should somebody come in and want to do an ADU. So there will be a small little bit additional.
Okay, so the list should get shorter. It should just be Hall Mason litigation and then the Fagan violation until that's completed.
We need to drop the Fagan violation. He hasn't run a business out there in 8 months.
So looking at, going backwards, I said 212 was as high as we've been. Going back 5 years, we were at 99,000, and to be honest, I kind of almost threw up when when those numbers finally came. So the year after was 114,000, and then 22, 23, we were at 198,000. Last year was 200,000, and now it's 212. So that's a trend I hope that we can reverse, because that's spend 50% of what you take in for your what are perceived as taxes. That's quite a chunk.
Yeah, I think the voters will remember.
I make the joke that I work for Fahey, but I mean, when you look at it this way, I do, because you derive the value, you protect the value. That's where that comes from. So
I personally feel that we turn to attorneys way too much for everything.
What's
So,
next,
it's
Brent?
just- Pardon?
What's next, Brent?
So after this, let's talk about fund balances, where we started the year and where we ended up. So sewer, Sewer water fund, we started the year at 2.1 million, we ended the year at 1.9 million, which is fantastic because we ended up paying out that Burkhart Road lawsuit. We returned to the general fund, those projects that we had used ARPA funds on, and, that not everybody got the benefit from because not everybody's on water and sewer. So it's just to end the year at 1.96 million is pretty comfortable. That's, I wouldn't think we need any more than that. So if we continue to do these types of things, we definitely need to, after the general fund is paid back, Jonathan and I and Mike and Sue would at the staff start looking at that water rate, you know, take a hard look at it and see if we can help the residents.
We have a surplus of 1.1 million in sewer and water.
1.9.
We have a surplus of 1.9.
Yeah, that's the cash fund balance as of June 30th.
But that's not a surplus though, based on budget, right?
Well, that's where we're gonna, we start this fiscal year with.
Right.
I'm just saying with those two activities, to be, I mean, it is a little bit of a drawdown, but to have those two events that aren't normal,
Correct.
right? I mean, if the Burkhart Ridge lawsuit wouldn't have happened,
Sure.
right, you're gonna be at 2.3.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brent, I hear you, right, and I understand the things that you're saying about lawsuits that occur, right? I don't think that there's any way that we can prevent people from bringing lawsuits against the township when we're following zoning ordinances and things like that. So my question is really about, and I'm looking at the next slide, which is the general fund payback. And I noticed that this goes out to 2028, and I'm wondering, do we have enough funds available to perhaps pull that in?
You mean make this shorter?
Yeah.
Knock off a few more years?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably. I mean, you're sitting there with a $1.9 million balance and a 1.37 debt.
I mean, I don't know if the board's interested in doing it, but if they are, the good news is we're paying ourselves. It's not as though we're paying a bank and you have,
Correct.
that money goes out the door and
You're
then
not-
something
it's not
happens.
Right.
Right, and you're not prepared for that, some emergency.
Correct.
But, I mean, it would be paying ourselves, and so if there was an emergency, we could still essentially make ourselves another
Right.
loan and make sure
Right.
that emergency's covered or
Right.
whatever, so.
Right.
It could make my financial reports shorter, right? Now that we're on this though, we ended up paying $633,000 and change back, which is the property sale that we had at Bowen Road, the special assessment that was collected, and then our year-end transfer, which is 60% of the profit or surplus that's made off of fees collected less the water expense. So I'll caution you though, that we're not gonna be able to pay this off as quick, you know, now it's not gonna happen as much because we don't have that much special assessment left to collect. We really have 2 districts left, 7 and 11. I mean, that is really getting pared down. We don't have any property sales.
But we have
We got
two,
parcels left, they're at the bottom of that page.
and the special assessments are 1.4 on that?
And those, right, so if you were made whole on that, 3.182 million, I mean, that would be the ideal.
If those 2 properties were to sell, and that revenue comes in, whatever the case might be, let's just say that there's negotiation, something, and let's say it doesn't come in at 3.1, but somewhere in the ballpark of that. And does that money have to go directly into the sewer and water fund? Can it be moved to the general fund? Like how are we allowed to do what's in the best interest of the township with that money, or does it have, because it's sale price and there's special assessments on it, it has to stay in sewer and water?
I would say it needs to start there. I mean, if that all happened tomorrow, then you could pay back that 1.37 million, right? away,
Correct.
Right? If you
Yeah.
get that made whole.
Yeah.
And then you would have to, I mean, those really are sewer and water dollars. What I would do for those residents, I mean, you definitely could look at lowering the rate.
which I think would be beneficial for those residents, right?
Sure,
Mhm.
it doesn't benefit everyone, but
Well, it benefits everyone in the context that it puts the township in a much stronger financial position. I mean, 14 years ago, it was not fun, right?
no, it wasn't at all.
Is there any way next month, Brent, that you can go back to us with maybe just a little bit of analysis of like how much you would feel comfortable pulling out of that 1.9? Because I don't think you can pull all of it out, right? We might have something that happened at wastewater treatment, we might have M-Haul come to us, whatever, but like maybe something, a percentage of that, and or like maybe some analysis of like, if we were to sell these other two properties, do they have to stay in sewer and water, or can they be, you know, what are some different sewer and water rates maybe that we could look at once we get those things paid off?
Sure.
Thank you.
Just to back up to finish, the other funds, general fund, started the year at 4.4 million, ended the year at roughly 4.4 million, which is flat. But what we did do this year is put 1.2 million into the rec fund. So to end the year flat like that, that's pretty impressive, and it's partly because of those, the ARPA funds coming in, from the sewer and water, and then, that, the 633,000 coming back from the sewer and water fund.
Yeah, because in reality, we should be almost closer to $6 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we will in August here now, right, Jonathan, that we're gonna recognize a big,
Bunch of interest.
CD maturity,
Yeah.
the largest one, so that's gonna be significant.
Is that Heritage Square? Is it
No, that's
PUD?
when we signed up for the CDs, this is the
Oh.
one that went out for the year,
Sorry.
and it's the largest amount.
Sorry, you said CD, I thought you said PUD.
Sorry. Too many vowel letters and. Road fund, that went up a little bit, we started the year at 688,000, we ended the year at 793,000. So that's earmarked for projects going forward.
Stuff.
And then Park and Rec, obviously that's the big one, started at 390,000, ended the year at 1.7 million.
And that's an increase, such an increase because the millage is in place now, so that money's
Yeah, we don't have
flowing
the
into our own fund. And-
Right.
And that money will be used for the Thule Road development, and
That's-
it's also being used for the, analysis that's going on, has been out of Parks and Rec.
Yeah. So the environmental study was paid out of Park and Rec because it benefited that property.
Yeah.
Anything that was done for recreation would come out of that. I mean, and I know we've talked that this is like way down the road. If you're talking new Township Hall, I would say no,
Okay.
right? Because that's not Park and Rec.
Okay.
No, that would be, yeah, it'd be a general fund.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anything else on any of these reports?
I'd just like to say thank you, Brent. And just as a general, it looks like everything is really positive.
It is, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer about the legal fees.
Sure, I mean, that's always a concern. It's always a concern.
You have a 50% burn rate of your operating village, that starts to get.
But I appreciate your effort, and obviously the reason we're here has a lot to do with you too, so.
And it makes a big difference in how to make decisions when you have this kind of information. I know we weren't all here when Matt and I started at the same time, and we didn't have this kind of information.
No.
And so you were poking in the dark, trying to make sure you're blind. And this just shines light on things and makes it so much easier to look at stuff, plan for stuff, make decisions. So it is greatly appreciated.
Right, and I know I get a lot of credit for paying off the bonds, but without your guys' consent, there is no bond payment, repayment. I had to give you the confidence to do it, right? That's the information, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brent.
thank you. Eagle View renewal, as long as you're here, you wanna?
So I'm not gonna read you the letter I wrote, just gonna kinda open it up for questions.
I have a few questions. You say that the new system is going to be available to residents. Couple questions on that. Number one, is it 3-inch and 1-inch? No matter which one we select, will be open to the public?
It will be, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you guys choose today will be.
Okay. We have special tools, whether you guys know it or not, we have special tools in the office. Brent is you're the one that came up with using this and, moved it forward and got it in the office. We all use it in the office a ton. It is such a useful tool, but there are other tools that are on there, like you're able to measure, you're able to, not just like from the road to the house, but also like the height of a house, there's a bunch of stuff. Is that something that is included with the public stuff?
Yeah, all those tools I do think they'll be available to the public. I don't think it'll be separate. The only thing that they told me would be different is the parcel layer will not be available to the public because there's two different ways to view this. You can do the traditional top-down where you're looking at the rooftop, and then those parcel lines would be more accurate. But as soon as you switch views and you start to look at the side, those parcel lines are gonna be skewed. And they know from experience, when you turn it to public, they're all gonna be like, what's the problem, what's the issue here? And we don't wanna be inundated with that question.
That's the same as the GIS as it works now, right? It projects a view. That's why the lines end up in a different area than.
So this actually does turn it sideways so you can see all four.
You can
sides of the
rotate
house.
all the way around
Okay.
it.
Yep.
I understand.
And it's truly, Eagle View is flown for Howell Township. What I mean is like, so when you go to the dealership, you buy a car off the lot, you get what you get. This is like ordering the car, right? This is specifically for us. Nearmap, Sanborn, a lot of those, they just mass fly and just hope they sell to people. Right? This is tailored specifically for us. It can be used in a tribunal because we own the imagery. Now that we have, why Eagle View is because we have 3 flights already, right? To keep that history going, it's prudent to renew with them.
We only have access to the historical imagery if we continue with them?
Yes. Well, no, you would have what you have, but you won't have, what they also have is that, I don't know how deep you guys looked at this, but they have what's called Change Finder. So they would take the flight in 2026, overlay it in 2024, and they can tell you what's different. Whether there's something new there, whether there's something gone. It's using technology in the smartest way.
You use that a lot in assessing. Will the public get access to that too?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
I mean, 'cause that's specifically what it's for. is
Right,
for the
absolutely.
assessor, but-
Yep. My next biggest question is, we have 3-inch, which is what we currently have. So you have an offer for that, and then there's 1-inch. I'm assuming the 1-inch is in here because you've seen how good it is and you think it's worthwhile, but I'd like to hear why we should go to the 1-inch.
I do, because not only can you see that it's a deck, you can see that it's a Trex deck, you can see an architectural shingle, like, they have these metal shingles now, whereas in 3-inch, you wouldn't be able to see that that's graphite or asphalt versus metal. It gets to the point where technology keeps improving, but we'll never get to the point where you're violating people's rights. Meaning, license plates will never be viewable. If you're happen to be out in your yard while it's going over, you're gonna be blurred. They won't know. You may be able to see that there's a person or something there, but you're not gonna be able to see who it is.
You're saying the software blurs it?
Yeah.
Okay.
How does, understand, right, but help me out, like from an assessing perspective, how does that help us do a better job in assessing if you can tell that it's a metal shingle or a Trex
Well,
deck?
there's a value there, right? I mean, a Trex deck is gonna be valued differently than the typical treated wood. It's gonna be more expensive to build, right?
Mm.
So there's more value there.
So they're assessed at a
Yeah,
higher
it's a
rate
different-
because of it.
Right.
So it benefits a township, but not so much the residents who are, I guess, appropriately assessed, but It's certainly getting down to the nitty gritty of things at that point. You know, my biggest worry about it is it getting utilized for the zoning enforcement, and I know it's been brought up before, but I just think that I wouldn't like to see that door opened up if there's any way that we could agree to this contract, whether it's 1 inch or 3 inch, and put in there that we won't use it for zoning enforcement. I would be very much in support of that. I think,
Is your
For-
worry that the public?
well, that's
will
maybe
add
the
on to it?
public, but even our own township here, who seems to be infallible, I think would utilize it for past occurrences and moving forward, and I just don't wanna see it utilized for zoning enforcement.
But isn't it true that you're complaint based?
I don't know if it's true or not, Brent,
Okay.
so we'll find out in the future, I guess, so.
So Brian, just
Anyways.
to clarify the Trex issue, if you made a site visit to do an assessment, or you would notice it was a Trex anyway, correct?
Mhm.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah,
s-
like it's not perfect, right? That there, you still go visit some sites.
I was just using that for an example,
Yeah, and just to point out, so this is getting approval for the next budget year, because they would have to fly this in the spring, right? They fly it before all the leaves are on the trees, so it's the best imagery you can get. You're not blocked by trees.
But your point, Tim, is that traditionally the assessor would go out and look at houses and he's writing on his record card, right, updating it. And he would notice that that's a Trex deck versus a wood deck, and he's gonna note it. So essentially, it's no different than making a house visit
Exactly,
than it is, okay.
exactly.
And the requirement's a quarter of the township per year,
20%.
20%.
And with the imagery, we're able to do 50%. We do half the first year and half the second year. That's why they fly every other year.
Okay, any other questions? It's your pleasure.
Well, I have a question. So, did the budget already, because I know in last year's budget, it was 19-ish thousand, and these are both more. And I don't remember what we approved for the budget we're in now. Was it
That
enough?
was the last year, so one, the flight 20 and 24 was paid in 24 and 25. We just paid for the last half of that flight in July. So this is gonna be completely new. It's gonna go, we'll pay it in July of 26,
Okay,
first year.
okay.
And then the second half will be in 27.
But you need to know because they're gonna fly in super early
They
of
would
26.
Hopefully in March of 26 and trying to, I don't wanna delay this, cause then if we're not on their flight schedule, then it's kind
Right.
of, we've lost out.
Right,
That's, I'm just trying to be proactive with it.
okay.
Cause I don't wanna miss that. I don't want, something that, everything's green and when you could have avoided that.
And you see the value in spending more money on this, not just for assessing, but staff-wide and the other benefits we get.
I do. I think, it's, yes, we could get by with 3-inch, no doubt. We have, I passed the state audit with it. I was kind of black sheep at first. They're like, well, why are you doing that? And now they've all just kind of followed suit. In one fashion or another. Everybody utilizes this now.
Okay.
The township, it's better for township to pay me to fight tribunals than to go out and measure a 20-year-old shed. You know what I mean? That's just, so if we don't get this, if we don't renew this, we're gonna have to hire somebody. I mean, that's just, and that's why I put in there the dollar amount. The $8 an hour. I mean, to me, that's, I know as an accountant, that's how I look at things, but it's truly what it's worth.
Okay, any other questions, concerns?
I make a motion to accept Brent's choice of Eagle View.
Two choices.
So that, can you add the size to your motion, the 1 inch?
I'll add 1 inch to the motion.
I'll support that.
Okay. Motion by Wilson, second by Hohenstein. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Appreciate the support.
All right, on to cybersecurity.
Matt, Teresa, and I met all of the applicants, most of them via Zoom, one in person. We talked with all of them. Matt asked a lot of questions I didn't know what he was talking about. And, there were some that were very heavily geared towards, really almost trying to penetrate our system and trying to, find vulnerabilities that way. There were some that were much cheaper and, maybe doing some sort of testing. Matt can talk a lot more about this. In the end, we've kind of come to one of the groups that we think will probably best fit the township in a good path forward, but I'll kind of let Matt talk about it since he's our resident expert.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, it was great discussions all around, in my opinion. I think when we sat down and discussed this, we said we really need to do an assessment to find out where we are. Excuse me. And with that in mind, as Jonathan had mentioned, there was one of the candidates or one of the companies that came in. They wanted to basically do a penetration test. Well, in the private sector, the first thing you do is you apply all of the things that you need to apply, and then you do the pen test to see if you can get in, right? So you don't say, come in my door if you haven't put a door on it, put a lock on it, right? Well, we need to know what doors have locks and which don't and that sort of thing, right? So I kind of removed that one. A couple of the other providers were more geared towards what we call managed service providers, where they actually do the technology work, right? So not really what we were looking for there. And that's why you'll see the memo that was listed, right? So personally, I liked DuPont. I thought they had a good foundation for what they wanted to do. They were focused on the assessment first, then the scanning and remediation. I met with both their salesperson and their chief information security officer. I asked some pretty pointed questions about the process and the technologies they used. They all made sense. They follow the standards that the state applies, which is I want to call it NIST, but it's based off NIST. It's called CIS, right? Which is based on NIST, which is what my company follows. So I just think overall they were put together. They had a process. They have the certifications. I think they were focused in the right area of wanting to look at an assessment, even how they validate things. I asked pointed questions about how the assessment process went, and I thought it was very, very appropriate for what we need. So with that, I'd like to make a recommendation, or I'd like to make a motion that we engage DuPont for a CIS Level 1 assessment for the tune of $7,500.
Support, Bull.
Motion by Counts, second by Bowl. Discussion.
Is your intention to also do the vulnerability scanning, because they did quote them separately?
At this point in time, I think the assessment would be best.
You want to take it one step?
I want to take it one step at a time. I want to understand where we're at. I think we're going to get into vulnerability scanning. I think we're going to need to do that. I think we're going to need to do that on a reoccurring basis, right? But I think we need to understand what their assessment comes back with, and then we can say, let's implement those measures, and one of those measures could be scanning, right?
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Before we move on, I did talk to Brent earlier about this. This will require a budget amendment because this wasn't contemplated as part of our budget. So I will move to make a budget amendment to increase the Township Hall IT support expense by, I'm sorry, was it $7,500?
7,500.
By $7,500.
Support.
Motion by Holstein, second by Counts. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Call to the public. No. All right, move on to reports. Supervisor report, I have nothing. Treasurer,
It's in the packet.
clerk?
Zemfi has got our maps done and moving on with the rest of it, starting to get that done.
Okay, questions of the clerk? Zoning?
It's in the packet.
I got a question for zoning real quick. In the reports, code enforcement reports, those reports or code enforcement lists are intended for the board, or are those made for some other function of the township?
This is where we track things in the software, and this is what, when we generate a report out of the software, this is what it generates. So
Okay.
it is a public record, but it is for our use.
Why I ask, I notice in the code enforcement list, at times it'll state that there's pictures attached, and there is obviously no pictures attached for the board to view. Could we in fact attach those pictures in the future when they are included as part of the code enforcement list?
I guess I would ask, does the board want to be involved with all of the enforcement actions?
I would say your planning commission should be aware of what's going on and such, and the board should be aware of going on, but I don't know that having the information is the same as being involved in the actions taken. So,
I think, sorry, Shane, are you finished?
you're fine, that's all I had to say.
I think from my perspective, I would say we have them on file. They're available if we need them, like we did earlier tonight, or in the situation earlier tonight and the stuff that was presented to us. I think having them available is good. I don't know that I personally need to see them every month. I think there'd be quite a bit, and I think when particular issues are risen up to the board level, then I would want to see those.
Okay, any other comments on that?
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan.
Moving on to assessing, got a report. Fire Authority, we moved to use Summit Construction for the addition. They're gonna do the contract bid, so we'll get a solid number of exactly what it is. And the Cohocton EMS expansion has kind of slowed down. They're kind of, I think they said 4 weeks behind. So I forget the reason why, but other than that, engine 22 is still down. We don't know what we're ever gonna do there, but hopefully we'll get it back someday.
Hey, Mike, I got a question. As far as maybe fire authority goes, or more of an emergency perspective, it's been brought to my attention that Burkhart Ridge has a north entrance that has not been opened up. And part of that was brought to my attention because of the traffic congestion there at Burkhart Road and the exit of 96. If that entrance were to be opened up on the north side, it could alleviate a lot of traffic, I think, perhaps from that Burkhart exit. And to the point of the emergency, I'm very surprised with the amount of people that live in that residence or within Burkhart Ridge that there's not more than one entrance and exit, and perhaps there is for an emergency vehicle, but
There is for the emergency vehicle. That's what that north gate's for.
does the township ever anticipate that being opened up in the future for just normal residential use? And is there a way that perhaps the township could obligate Burkhart Ridge to do so if not.
I think I would lean on that's mostly because it's not hard surfaced.
I think that's part of it. I believe that it was actually the township that said it's for emergencies only. They have to have a second emergency entrance, but it is only for emergencies.
Only emergencies.
Yes.
Something to consider there also, if that traffic came out on Millet and came down to where you're trying to, the freeway there, the people exiting would be blocked all the time from going south on Burkhart, so it's
Potentially, but
robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of at that intersection, so.
the
That
people
intersection-
exiting off 96 could then enter into Burkhart Ridge at the end of their day too and unload that congestion that backs out into the highway. It's not so bad that they get blocked off coming in on Millet, which is very seldom for residents who don't, well, obviously nobody's coming out of Burkhart down Millet there, but residents who live beyond there, I don't think would normally come that way, or it's not a regular occurrence, I should say, so. But I do understand your point. We
think
could
that-
create another problem, but it just surprises me that,
It'll all be aligned soon anyhow.
Yeah,
So-
but the 96 interchange is gonna change that whole thing.
I have yet to find those plans. Has anybody?
28, 29. You look at, MDOT's 5-year plan.
5-year
Yeah,
plan?
it's online.
It's on there.
It's on their website? Oh, that's good, it's actually.
It's actually written there. They
It
don't
actually made the
actually have
website.
plans, but if you've noticed all the traffic counters they've had out there in the last year or so.
Yeah,
And surveying.
I'm almost certain, I'm sorry, Mike, to get off topic here. I thought that the township in one of our packets in the past had a plan or something from MDOT showing a roundabout
We
exchange.
had a preliminary, yep,
Preliminary.
yep.
For the residents' sake, if we could dig that up out of our archives and post that out there, maybe that would alleviate.
It may
some
have changed.
tension.
I'd be afraid to post it. I would think we'd wanna,
Yes.
because after they start when
We-
they do a preliminary, it's literally just the study, and then as they start seeing the numbers and the,
What we could do though is direct residents to the MDOT site, right?
Yep.
And say, go here, and you can find the latest.
then we could reach out to MDOT. They may give us another preliminary
Yeah.
that they're working off of. So,
It's good that it's actually making the list though. All right.
okay, if that's it for Fire Authority, MHOG?
In June, MHOG produced just about 75 million gallons of water. The transmission main progress is on track and going well. We're getting reimbursement from Spark and the state on the work that's been going on, but it is moving along quite well. Let's see what else is going on. Marion Tower maintenance, that's also going well. The MHOG team we approved some upgrades to plant communications, moving callouts to voice over IP, and Greg's team has been dealing with a lot of new development. So,
Okay, any questions, MHOG? Planning Commission, minutes are in there, but got anything to add?
If there's any questions, no.
Okay, any questions? ZBA, no meeting, wastewater treatment.
You're up, Sue.
Okay, the report's in there, but we have, 3 things we need approval for. One is the lagoon maintenance for tree removal. There's a bid in there that they got from Cooper's Turf Management for $7,815. This is to remove the trees around the edge of the lagoon. So we need approval for that.
I thought we approved a landscape maintenance plan for wastewater treatment plant last month or 2 months ago.
So you need special equipment, so the permit requires that they not allow growth along the edge of the lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard with traditional equipment to do that.
Okay.
And they've even tried renting the boom that would fit on a piece of equipment like the skid steer they have, and they do not lease those out. Apparently they get abused or something by the people who have leased them in the past, but you can't rent the equipment that they would need to do that. So that's why they're looking to Cooper to do the work, because Cooper's does have the necessary hardware.
Okay, any motion for that?
I'll make a motion to accept Cooper's price of $7,815.
Support.
Motion by Duff, seconded by Counts, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and next we have, the quote for the generators. And it went up $220.26. And this is, if I remember, do you remember who that was by?
They don't use CAT, they use, is it Cummins?
Cummings, that's it.
Yep.
So we need approval for the contract for the maintenance on the generators.
Real quick, Sue, can you point me to a page?
3.3 in the wastewater
Okay,
report.
3.3,
Mhm.
okay. And this is the standard maintenance we do every
Right,
year on all of these,
Yeah.
right? So these are all the generator maintenances
Yep.
for the
and the
plant,
locations and,
the plant and the pump stations, right?
right.
Oh, it's in the operations packet, okay.
Okay, is there a motion?
I will make the motion to accept the new contract for the generator maintenance.
Your support?
I'll support.
Motion by Doss, second by Counts. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Jonathan, I have another question on this. Just, again, you may or may not know, but like, why are, obviously the plant has a higher capacity, but why are some of these, like, the 1575 North Burkhardt is a 250 kW generator, and the one at 388 Oak Grove Road is 50 kilowatts?
So the size of the generator is based on the size of the pumps. The bigger the pumps, the bigger the generator. And some of the pumps we have are enormous. And it's,
250 kilowatts?
so it's like the Burkhardt Ridge,
Yeah.
those pumps,
Yeah.
our crane truck struggles to lift them out. They're so heavy.
Oh, dear Lord, okay.
So,
All right, that's
yes.
fine. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next is the UV module from UIS. And that is to refurbish one ballast and lamps UV box with 14 new ballast, one cooling fan, one thermostat, the connectors, new termination pins, the bid's in there for $19,775.
so we sent a UV module out to the people in New York a couple of years ago to get rebuilt. It took the guy forever. It was way more money than this. I think it was north of $30,000. And in the end, Greg and James were not happy with how long it took, all the things they had to get through to get it done. And so they think that UIS, who can do all the electrical work, is going to be able to do this better, faster, and turns out cheaper. And they have a lot of experience with UIS, and they're very happy with the guy that they deal with from UIS, the work he performs.
So does this mean we'll actually have two units then?
Two fully working.
Two fully
units.
functioning units? Yay!
Yeah.
It says here that lamp and lamp grommets provided by others. What's that, do we need to factor that cost into this?
You know, I don't think Greg provided us with a cost on that. So I guess I would expect that you're going to get an additional invoice in the future for approval. But this allows them to do all of the big work, you know, to get this thing up and running.
Got it. Motion to approve UIS SCADA quote to the tune of $19,775. Item 3.4 is presented.
Support.
Motion by Count, second by Hohenstein. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm
That it?
done.
Well, the last item is the wastewater treatment plant driveway maintenance. And so you can see from the photographs that there are A, it's a long driveway. B, there are some very large cracks and some things growing in them. And Greg wants to get those taken care of so they don't get worse and don't cause other issues. I'm trying to find the quote here. Am I missing it? Move to accept the quote from Debatis Development and Asphalt Maintenance of $10,729 maybe, as presented.
Support Bull.
Motion by Hohenstein, second by Bowl. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Parks and Recreation.
EPRA, okay. Reports in there.
Okay. Property Committee.
Property Committee, nothing.
Okay. Parks and Recreation Committee.
That, you do have the, so I guess two things. You do have the due care plan that is in there that came out of the phase 1 and phase 2 of the environmental study. And then the Park and Rec Committee also met after the approval to use Carlisle Workman for our master plan. So it just highlights the, what we talked about, and we will be bringing more stuff forward.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Yeah, in this report, I had read somewhere in there about the removal of soil from certain areas will have to be put on plastic and covered up during the time of construction and later be removed or relocated on the site to a place. I mean, it's so far away, but how much soil, how much dirt are we anticipating having to remove from this site to do what we need to do? And is that, when this stuff goes into a pile, it's excavated, it's gonna cause irritants for air irritants and everything for the neighbors. I just don't know that we should be digging into this ground if it's so contaminated,
So in the report, it talks about the risks, and really the due care plan is to say, okay, we understand there are certain risks here. Letting whoever, if we decide to build something, it is letting the excavators know that will bid on the project to say, hey, there's potential contamination here, and make sure that you bid accordingly. In that report, you're allowed to put the dirt back, as they say, at the same depth. So I think it comes down to what you build will determine how much has to be removed. And if we remove stuff, it will possibly have to be disposed of properly.
I'd also like to add to that actually I read the due care plan, and it's actually pretty mild. I was happy that there was so little in there.
Really not anything out of the
And,
ordinary.
I believe any site plan needs an environmental review prior to anything being done. So I think they would address that at the time. So basically, the only contaminations there is not a PFAS, but it's some type of plastics and some naturally occurring. I can't remember the other thing, but
There's
it's
some
naturally in the
stuff
soil.
that didn't go beyond
Sure.
what the background numbers were. Yep.
So that was all I had.
Okay. Any other questions on Park and Recreation Committee? Shiawassee River Committee, I have no update. Disbursements.
Move to accept the disbursements as presented, any normal and customary payments for the month.
Support.
Motion by Hohenstein, second by Doss. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Support. Motion by Count, second by Hohenstein. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.